You're first. Thank you. See you later.
Hello. Hey, folks. Hi.
Hello. You?
I'm Pippa Harrison. I'm from Spotlight in London, in England. Spotlight is the primary casting tool in the UK. We have 60,000 performer members, and we have about 93% of the work cast in the UK goes out through our system. So we work in a similar way to Breakdown Services. We work really closely with them as part of the International Alliance of Casting Directories. So that's me. That's what I do.
Hello, Pippa. Hello, everybody. I am Louise Grainger, and I am a full-time Equity UK official. Those of you who are our members who are in the room will know my name. You constantly get stuff from me. I apologise. This is what it looks like. So, there we go. We are the UK trade union for professional performers and creative practitioners. So we cover all areas of the industry, everything live and everything recorded. We do the lot. And our members include actors, but also directors and also circus artists, the entire range and gamut. So we're pretty busy. My job is mainly about outreach and engagement. So things like events and training, which sort of explains why I'm here today. And welcome. Welcome to our last full day of Equity UK, supported by Spotlight, at SAG Foundation events here in Los Angeles. It's been a very exciting week. And we've had a great time running events. We hoped, and still kind of think, we're on topics that were going to be of interest to you, and we're really going to be going through the feedback forms to find out if that was the case or not. And if it wasn't, well, not sure what we'll do, but we'll do something different next year. That's what we'll do. So today is our last full day. Pippa and I are doing this thing on networking. This evening we've got a panel all about working in the United Kingdom, which is being chaired by Equity's General Secretary. Christine Payne's coming over to do that, so that's quite exciting. And then tomorrow Pippa is doing some one-to-one career advice with individuals who've already booked in for that. So let's talk about what we're going to do today.
Yeah, so the session is going to cover a bit about knowing yourself, looking at that, knowing your industry, traditional networking and different ways of doing that, and then quite a bit about kind of digital networking and things like that. Louise and I do this a lot. We talk in the UK at drama schools, at film festivals, in Europe, everywhere. So we're quite used to doing this. What's really useful for us is to have some idea of who's in the room and some idea about what areas are going to be of particular interest and what you hope to get out of it. So what would be really useful is if you could just do a show of hands with, first of all, who is an American actor? Virtually everyone. Any British actors? Good. Anybody who's new to the industry? A few?
No.
And been in the industry over 5 years? And been in the industry over 10 years? Excellent, that's really useful. It's just, I know this is a bit unusual to do it with questions and things, but does anyone have a sort of an overriding thing that they want to get out of today, that they want to find out? Anyone brave enough to tell me? Yes, great, you.
I'm new to LA, so it's networking.
Brilliant. We can do that.
So that was someone who's new to LA who wants to know about networking here. That's fine.
Yep.
On the opposite end, how about going to UK and trying that out?
Yep.
Okay, that's the
We
other
will
side.
do that. At the back.
Doing it in the UK, yeah.
How to keep the obvious lines from showing when you're networking so you don't sound like you're doing a pickup line, but it's natural sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's kind of the one that we always get asked. How do I sound like I'm not chatting somebody up? Yep.
Is there any kind of pilot season or episodic season, and how is it different in the UK, how is it different than in LA, and what is the busiest time for casting in the UK?
Brilliant. Yeah, we can cover that.
That was a question about whether there's pilot seasons and how the UK year is structured, if you like, for casting, so we will talk about that. Lady at the back there.
If there's any websites or anything outside of social media where you can go directly for like events or things that might be happening either between UK or here in LA, executives and things like that.
Okay, so website resources to find out what on earth's going on. Fair enough. Okay.
Yep.
Scribbling.
How important the elevator pitch is, you know, when you have this one moment or this 30-second window
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got a whole elevator pitch section. This is
So
brilliant.
An entire section on that. Yeah. Hi.
I still wonder that a lot of UK actors are coming over here to work.
And taking your jobs.
What likelihood be that customers over there to work would actually be fulfilling, I guess?
Yep.
Possibly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
How easy or difficult is it to submit to jobs in both places if you're residing?
It's just about to get a whole lot easier.
Oh, the by-country
Yeah.
career. Okay, never mind bi-coastal, we're doing by-country. Right.
Cool.
Gentleman over there.
Proper ways of keeping in touch with industry, especially casting directors and producers, whereas most of them don't really want to hear from you because they get so many of these every day.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had to do the mailing thing, and some of them just cannot deal with it. So what is the proper way of staying in touch?
Okay. So approach etiquette for casting directors and so on, really,
Yep.
and regularity and that sort of thing. Okay. Lady here?
My question's quite similar to his. I've been meeting a few people that I really am targeting. It's not someone I've kind of like found on the internet.
Okay.
I'm just wondering how I can continue in their radar. Some of them had some interest, but I don't know how to take it to the next step.
Okay, so how to maintain their knowing about you, being on their radar, how to move that forward.
Yeah.
Right. Someone at the back, there's a hand waving at me.
Yep.
Direct networking and promotion with ad agencies.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you just...
Said networking with ad agencies, direct promotion and networking with ad agencies,
Okay.
Okay.
creative directors.
Ad agencies, right.
Yep.
Oh, good Lord, there's hundreds of you. That one, there, another guy at the back, yeah.
Equity to SAG conversion without the vouchers and all that carry on?
Okay, that's probably more about tonight's panel, but how you get, we can try and touch on that, yeah. Yep.
Is there any like infocast as far as like self-taping for the spotlight, and how is it differs from the one here?
Yep. I'll talk a bit about how the two organisations work together and how we share information for actors and for casting directors. We'll cover that.
Okay, one more.
Oh, so
two
one more? Yep.
Yeah, two more.
Going to school in the UK, and if they are okay with you working as a student while you're still going to university
In the UK.
in the UK.
Okay. So what you can do as a student work-wise in the UK. Okay.
What's allowed.
Cool.
Okay.
And last one.
Would be better ways to promote yourself on the internet? Like,
Okay.
Okay, we're going to do a whole thing about digital.
We better hurry up. We've got quite a lot
Okay.
to get through.
We'll see you at the pub afterwards. Right then, let's go. Sorry, that was terribly British, wasn't it? Sorry. Right, well, that's given us a lot to... We'll throw this away and start again. Right, well, let's kick off then. Networking, what is it? Why is it? Why has it got a whole word to itself? You know, when it's actually just a conversation in some form or other. The important stuff quite often is not in the audition. Auditions are important, but a lot of the important thing is what gets you there in the first time. That's really where the networking comes in. Here's a radical thought. In the US and the UK, it's not always the most talented actors who work the most. Don't know if that's news, but it isn't. It tends to be the actors who are really good at running themselves like a really good business and are putting time and effort and focus to a bit of self-marketing, and a bit of money probably needs to go into there as well. Some of it might be tax deductible. We did an entire session yesterday here on tax in the US. If you're not clear about any of that, watch the video. It'll be available on the SAG site. So the networking thing is about increasing the opportunity to get you through the door for the audition. Once you're in the audition, you're all trained, you're all experienced, you know, you should be able to do whatever they ask you to do within that audition. But the networking thing is about creating the opportunities, getting to meet the right people, having the right conversations, not sounding a little bit odd or a bit weird or a bit stalkery on the way to get there, you know. So, and it is about, you are a small business. So I know you're all, you know, it's very hard being an actor because you do have to be talented in ways that, you know, normal souls like myself aren't. But you've also got to be really businesslike. So you have to do more than most people have to do, which is annoying but true. So we might as well get on with some of the ways of doing that.
Cool. A bit of a kind of a mind change as well. Somebody said it over there. I did a big mail out today. Most actors are creative types. and you're brilliantly talented and you've trained, a lot of you may well be terrible at doing a spreadsheet or writing a letter or anything like that. That's fine if you're bad at it, get some help. The mind change is one of kind of, rather than thinking every 6 months I'm going to do a mail out, is thinking every day I'm going to do 30 minutes of my admin. I'm going to do my business, running this small business. The fact that the product is you is irrelevant. If you were a plumber, you'd spend 30 minutes every morning going through your emails and doing your invoices. Actors don't. They think, I'm going to go and do a voice class, and then I'll go and do my yoga class, and I'll make sure I've learnt my sonnets. And they forget that if you don't get the opportunity to get in the room, you can go home. Everyone can go home and we can forget about it, okay? So have that shift in your head that the business side of being an actor requires your time every single day, just a tiny bit of your time, yeah? And be disciplined about that. Be disciplined about, you know, not sitting on the internet and then suddenly looking at all the football scores. Actually, just do your admin for your business, yeah? Okay, so the first thing that you need to be aware about with your business is you need to get to know yourself. And your working life as an actor will be much easier if you play to your strengths. And this is not talking about typecasting. It's about being very realistic. Okay, if I was an actor and I wanted to work in theatre, and that was what I spent every day desperately trying to be a lead in, I don't know, Hedda Gabler, that's never going to happen. I'm nearly 6 foot, yep. It's just not going to happen. On stage, I look weird compared to all the other girls who are 5'6" and the blokes who are 5'9". Yep. It'd be much better if I went, I'm going to be the freaky person in the ensemble who plays the stupid lanky one at the back. That's far more likely where I would get cast. I might get cast in other things, but start with your strengths and start with your uniqueness. Lots of actors think, I've got to have RP and I've got to have this accent and I've got to be able to tap dance and I've got to be able to do this, 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 this. Think of the things that make you unique and different from the person next to you, not the things that make you all the same. Being a good actor is not about having a bag of tricks. It's about you, what you look like, what you could play. A really good way to start is to ask people who know you professionally, what do I look like? What could I play? Do I look like the mum? Do I look like the dad? Do I look like the hooker? Do I look like the junkie? And begin to get an idea of that, because if you have that in your mind, it makes casting directors' jobs much easier because you are realistic and honest about your castability. Yeah? And I'm not talking about kind of going to auditions dressed up as a, I don't know, a cleaning lady or whatever, but just know your type, know your archetype and your essence. What's the thing that's different from you? If you don't know what your strengths are, you're never going to be able to communicate that to somebody else. So it might be your ethnicity, it might be your height, it might be your weight, it might be your gravelly accent, but just think about what's my thing and turn that thing into your exciting uniqueness, not your thing that you're always pushing against. Yep? So, once you know yourself, you're onto confidence, aren't you?
Yeah, I think we're onto confidence. But one thing about that thinking about yourself thing is write it down. List, and this comes into elevator pitches later, list down, say 3 things that you think are your headlines. What are your headlines about you that makes you special or different? Everyone's going, oh God, what does that mean? But, you know, it's not an easy thing. That's why I say I do it, you know, quietly on your own somewhere without, you know, having to worry about it. But if you know what they are, then as Pippa said, that just becomes natural about you in how you communicate. When you walk into a room for a casting or anything, you are really know what you're doing there. See, I'm slumping a bit more sitting up because I know what I'm doing here. You know, it's that sort of thing. Which does bring us on to confidence. Confidence. Who's confident in the room? Look at that. Who has moments when they're not so, like, you know... Oh, same people. That was good. That was a really good show.
Liars!
Yeah. You just both put 2 hands up there. That was really what was going on. That was great. It's golden stuff, confidence. It really is. Just try not to use the word trick, but really, it's a mindset. It's trying to think about it as a skill rather than a feeling. It's it's not necessarily, I mean, it is a bit emotional. It can be a bit emotional. You can all go and cry buckets and want to be sick in a corner before going on or whatever. There isn't, which reminds me, SAG Foundation didn't give us a bucket in the wings. I'm not happy. But anyway, but the point is, it's a skill. You know, some people feel more confident in that skill than others in this room. Some people feel less confident about that skill in this room. But it is a skill, and you can all do it. We can all do it. We all have to do it, really. You need to be able to show part of the confidence thing, and again, it's one of those unseen things that humans give off, really. You don't necessarily have to open your mouth for people to think you're quite confident and capable and okay. What it is, it's about being a safe pair of hands for whatever the job is that you're going for. It's like a reassuring handshake. Take my hand, Pip. That's a handshake.
You know what that feels like when you
know
shake
what that
someone's
is.
hand and
Yeah.
it's like that.
Yeah.
And you go, oh,
No,
God.
that's not.
Yeah, like floppy handshake.
No.
Somebody shakes your hand and you immediately make an assumption about whether they're a safe pair of hands.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to have you in a movie, I need to know that you're not flaky, you're not the floppy handshake.
Yeah.
This is nothing about your acting. I haven't seen you do anything yet, but
It's about what you're giving off.
you're giving off that confidence, and confidence isn't about jazz hands and cartwheeling into the room and being da-da. It's about being safe pair of hands, and it all comes down to money. And are people going to pay you to do this job? Are you going to be a safe pair of hands, or are you going to cause them 7 shades of hell?
Yeah.
And a firm handshake is about, yep,
Yeah.
you can trust me to do it. I'll deliver.
And confidence is the equivalent to that. It's giving that message that you are going to do what you are there to do, and you're not going to cause chaos and upset and drama and trauma and all those other things that producers hate because it costs them lots of money. And attitude comes into this as well. It's sort of part of the same thing. Attitude. Auditions are 50% attitude. Getting through an audition, winning the job, whatever it is 50% to do with your audition. And the thing is, you're going to fail. That's it. People do. Not everybody can get the job. You're in rooms with lots of other people, all who've looked vaguely of the same casting type as you. So you've got to go back to what are the 3 things that make me special and different and marvellous, and where's my confidence button, and push that skill out there. But, you know, it is about attitude, but you have to, but failing is part of it. Hello.
Hi, just wanted to ask something, because there's so many actors who are socially awkward. When you watch interviews, they're socially awkward and they're a little bit weird and everything, but they deliver as an actor, as the performance they deliver.
Yeah.
But then as people can be a little bit odd. I'm sure that's acceptable.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
That quite often actors, when they're interviewed publicly, come across as a little bit awkward, but they're very good
Actors.
at acting, which is fine. Being interviewed publicly is not the natural home. An audition is a more natural home for somebody where you are doing your acting thing, and that some actors don't really enjoy or feel comfortable talking about themselves, really, which is what an interview is. Whereas they're absolutely brilliant doing the role.
Yeah. The other thing with that I always find is actors are like that when they're pretty well known.
Yeah.
If you're not at that stage, it's almost as if you can't afford to be socially awkward and weird because people won't hire you. I mean, I've met some big actors who were so weird, who, you know, spoke in the third person. I had to introduce myself to his dog. I mean, really, really odd. And you go, you're a genius on screen, an absolute genius. If he was starting out now, nobody would hire him. They would section him. Clearly. You know, so I think a lot of that, as Louise says, being interviewed as an actor is when you're at a certain level and when you're very well known. Certainly in the UK, there are a handful of actors who get away with having a very bad reputation because they're very good actors. It is a handful, and everybody in the industry knows who they are.
It's not an aspiration.
It's not an aspiration.
It's not where you want to be. No.
But then there's also that thing, which I do, I take your point, that often actors sit somewhere on that kind of genius lunatic line, you know, where... Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, this particular session is about increasing your opportunities to be seen for work. which is about networking and making relationships and setting up connections with people. And if you are somebody who is socially awkward or very, very shy, these things are going to be difficult for you, but they will increase the opportunities you have for work.
And the thing is, the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it, and the more confident you become with it, really. Yeah, so I was just talking slightly about attitude and audition. So I got as far as saying that people will fail.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't a great place to stop, was it? Yes, we'll
Pick it back up.
Yes, yeah. But who enjoys auditioning in the room? Give us a shout. There we go. It's quite a lot of you.
It's not as many as who said they were confident. Though.
No, that's less than the confident people.
It's very weird that that's your job,
yeah.
and that's what you do. Hopefully, maybe every week, maybe every 2 weeks, and a lot of you don't like it.
Yeah. How many of you feel quite emotionally upset by not getting through an audition? By not
Upset.
getting the job.
If you don't get a
If you
job.
don't get it. It actually takes it quite to heart.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, there's obviously always going to be 1 or 2 jobs that you really want, but as a general thing. Okay.
Yeah.
How many people see it as walk out of there, no matter how it's gone, and go, well, that's 2, 3 people who I didn't know before, who I've now met and got a connection with?
Good for you.
Good for you, yeah. So even some of the people who don't like auditioning do that.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. And that's the thing you
Yeah.
can use. Again, you now have a connection to people. It might not have gone great. You might know if it's not gone great. You know, we all know when it's... But, you know, so it might, you now know some more people who now know your face and will be able to put a face to a name. And they might have just thought, well, actually, you know, yeah, not great for this. But if you remind them about yourself in 6 weeks' time, they might think, oh, yeah, actually...
Yeah. If you go in with a positive attitude, and again, that's not singing and cartwheeling and everything, but if you go in with a positive attitude, even if you don't get the gig, you've had a meeting with them, you've met them, and they will only have a positive impression of you because you did fine and you were positive about it and you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And casting directors can smell it on actors. They can smell it when they need a job financially, and they can smell it when they don't want to be there. And nothing is going to put a cross next to your name faster than that energy when an actor comes into a room and you go, oh God, he couldn't pay the metro fare to get here. You have to put all of that at the door and go in going, yeah, this is great. This is an opportunity to meet you. I want this. I don't need it. Yeah. And that's a difference.
And also, I'd be good at it. But there is that thing about, I mean, energy is a much used word. And sometimes an overused word, but it is controlling it a bit, so you're not going in like Tigger. You know, like, Tigger's a wonderful thing, bouncing all over the place and being just, you know, that unless you're up for the part of Tigger, in which case, you know.
Be like Tigger.
Fill your boots, go mad. Yeah. So really what we're talking about here is about some sort of quite sort of personal attitudes and feelings and stuff, and about being what we would call match ready all of the time. That's the problem. I mean, it's a challenge. You know, so that means staying fit, staying healthy. It means keeping your mind going, really.
Yeah.
You know, Judi Dench, God love her, she is on record as saying that she learns a sonnet every single day. Judi Dench, you'd think she probably doesn't really need to, but she does, and that's part of her discipline, and it's part of her keeping her mind going. I mean, that any time anybody wants her to just go and, you know, learn lines, she's got the ability sort of really just there all the time. It's not been allowed to go on holiday for a week or do the garden or whatever.
And that comes back to the thing we said earlier about doing a little bit every day. Don't think I'm going to spend all of Friday doing it. Just get into the habit of doing 10 minutes a day. That's fine. It just keeps everything ready so that when you get a call saying you're in at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, you're good to go. Yeah. There's no panic. You're good to go.
You're ready and phased.
Are we going to get into what exactly do you do for these 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What you actually do for...
These 30 minutes
Yep,
every day.
yep, we'll go through that.
We can talk through those, yeah. All of this really is about, one of the things you do with your 30 minutes is research. It's about keeping your mind going, finding out what's going on, digging around, you know, keeping on top of your admin, making sure that you're not missing opportunities because you haven't checked your email properly, or like Pippa said earlier, you've got distracted on the internet and some, you know, because that happens to everybody. There are 168 hours in the week. That includes sleeping.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Who knew?
I know these things. I don't know how I know these things, but I know these things. There are 168 hours in the week. That's every week, anywhere in the world, America, UK, wherever they are. It's up to you how you use them. You know, you can plan out what you're doing with those 168 hours. You know, sleep is good for part of it, obviously, but, you know, there's go for a walk every day, go to the gym, do yoga, all that stuff, learn a sonnet, do my admin, do so many people, you know, reach out to 5 new casting people this week. You know, it's what you do with it. It's about planning out your 168 hours.
So if we've talked a bit about knowing yourself and looking at yourself and saying, what can I play? Am I kind of match fit mentally and physically? Am I good to go? Am I going in with the right attitude and things like that? Then obviously you need to know your industry. If you were starting work as a vet, you would have researched it. You would know who the people are that give vets jobs. You would know where they are and how to contact them. It's exactly the same being an actor. And the horror show for actors is that thing of doing a mail out to everyone. Who wants to be told I've got to write to 600 agents or 600 casting directors? Do I have to send them something physically? That's going to cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Do I have to email everybody? Is that going to go in? It's a waste of time. It's a total waste of time, and it will send you mad before it bankrupts you. Don't do it. Be very specific about your research. So the first thing, obviously, and kind of more so in the UK, you can work very, very effectively without having an agent. You can't work at all if you don't know who the casting directors are. And here, it's a bit similar. You can self-submit for stuff, but it's the same thing, that the casting directors are the people you need to know, and you need to be very specific about your research. Don't just go, yeah, I want to be in Mad Men. Who casts it? What are their contact details? Make a note of it, create your own database. Have all that information. This is part of your 15 minutes, 30 minutes every day, is starting off building your own database. Yes, there are lots of places that you can subscribe to information, but make your own database so that when you've met Pam Dixon, you write copious notes. What does she look like? She's got cats. I had a conversation with her about cats. Next time I meet her, I can always say to her, how are your cats? And you've got a conversation going. They're your personal notes, so it doesn't matter if it's in some weird code and it says things like she's got red hair and looks like my Auntie Julie or whatever. But something so that you are beginning to build up your own personal database of this industry. And you don't need to write lots and lots of stuff about the people that you're not so interested in. It may be that people are casting theatre jobs way out in the middle of nowhere that you're never going to be interested in doing. Don't worry about that. Start with your wish list. Where do I most want to work? What jobs do I most want to do? And again, be realistic. Think back to your thing about thinking about myself. What am I going to play? But find out who is doing what, who is casting what. It's so easy to find out all that information now. The thing somebody mentioned earlier about sending all your stuff all the time and people not wanting to hear from you, a lot of it is about timing. Yeah. So if somebody's casting a project, a particular project, and is looking for actors of a particular type or look, and you write to them looking completely different, they're just going to flick past you because at the moment they're looking for samurai warriors or something, and that's not you, so they're going to flick past. So finding out what projects they're involved in, when they're involved in them, is really useful. And be sensible about that. Don't, if you're Scandinavian, don't submit when they're doing something about Aborigines. Because it's going to be a waste. You're going to wait for the time when they're casting something a bit more appropriate. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Something just crossed in my mind when you mentioned about knowing who is casting what.
Yeah.
So here in the US, we have something called Casting About.
Yep.
And what is it in the UK?
Well. Sorry, did people hear that? In the US, finding out who is casting what, we use Casting About. In the UK, people tend to find that out via Spotlight, us. We publish something called Contacts, which is all the contact details of all the casting directors. And for us in the UK, if you Google a casting director, it will tell you what they're working on at the moment, or the Casting Directors Guild will. The Casting Directors Guild is the group of top UK casting directors. It's a very, very tight organisation, and it's very hard to join. Casting directors who are members of it have to have been working for 5-10 years in the industry. It has a big kind of kite mark. It's a big stamp of approval if you're a CDG member. It doesn't work in quite the same way as the CSA over here. But the CDG website has all their members listed on it and all the projects that they're working on
and what they've done. So that gives you a big sort of feel for who they are.
And again, when you're putting together your database, you can write down, Nina Gold is currently casting Game of Thrones. This is when she's doing it. If there are projects that are recast or recommissioned, when they get the new seasons, when you hear that it's been recommissioned, that's when you need to get in touch with them, not when you start seeing the advert saying it's screening new series. You go, oh shit, I missed it. Yeah.
So can we submit from here to the UK for projects?
The way it works in the, we can come on to this a bit, but I'll answer your question now. To join Spotlight as an actor, you have to be trained at a recognised drama school or have professional acting experience. So we don't have any equivalent of Actors Access in the UK. There are a few other casting websites, but they're not taken very seriously. So the way that it works is, as a performer, if you join Spotlight, you have a profile with your reel and everything on it, much like Breakdown Services. You pay an annual fee to appear in Spotlight. You don't pay to submit, you just pay an annual fee. And you then receive all the breakdowns. If you don't have an agent, you receive them directly. If you do have an agent, your agent receives them. So either your agent will submit you for those roles, or you can self-submit. Does that make sense? Yep. The way we have a reciprocal arrangement with Breakdown Services, so that if American casting directors want to send a breakdown to our members, they send it to us at Spotlight and we distribute it to our members and their agents. And the same if we have our casting directors want to send a job out to Breakdown members, we send it through to Breakdown and they send it out. Yep, does that make sense?
I'm wondering how effective it is that if you're submitting yourself to the UK, if you decide to do that, is it effective?
It depends where you are and what you're available to do. If a lot of it is about whether you can get to an audition or self-tape.
Self-taping.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
We have kind of more and more of that going on. We have a video submission system similar to EcoCast, which is just part of your subscription. You don't pay extra to do that. So a casting director may either require suggestions or video submissions.
I mean, realistically, there are Native American actors, not Native American as in tribe, Indian tribes, but speakers, So they there's a group of them in London called the North American Actors Association, and they all have...
Actually, they've changed their name.
They've changed their name.
American Actors UK, they are now.
They were NAA.UK, which was a ridiculous website address, but anyway, NAAA. But now so there's around 700 to 1,000 of them that belong to that. They're all equity members. They all are experienced actors. They all have the natural, North American accents. They're all naturalised, but they're also all legal to work in the UK. So that's the thing that can cause issues. You can certainly submit for stuff. There's no problem at all. But you do have to be able to get over there, be available to work, and be legal to work. And that sometimes has to do with the producer getting you a visa and so on and so forth. So there's different ways of doing things. There was a lady there with a hand up for hours. I'm so sorry. Hours.
I was wondering if castingabout.com or...
Yeah, it's castingabout.com, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the website address. Sorry, we should do that.
And castingabout.com at the moment just has names of who's doing what and no contact details. That
was the other thing we were going to say.
They are developing that service so that they are including faxes and emails. I was at Breakdown yesterday, and I was like, how's that useful for anyone if they can't actually, if it's not...
How do you contact them? Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, European Union. Yeah, if you have European Union citizenship, you can work anywhere in Europe.
Yeah.
Anywhere that's in the EU. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So if you're Spanish, you can work in Britain. If you're French, you can work in Greece. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to know, how do you feel about you, after the audition, contacting a casting director, sending them a note or an email?
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. This whole thing about how you contact casting directors and how much contact to have with them, if you've done your previous bit of research, which is that you've only contacted people that you're very interested in meeting, that you think you're right for, if you do get called in for an audition, and if you have something to say, it can be quite nice to contact them afterwards. I would never do anything more than, in the UK, quite a lot of people will send a little postcard. It may or may not have their face on it. It may be something completely different. Yeah. And it would just say, just want to say how much I enjoyed meeting you. Good luck with the project. Best wishes, Pippa.
That's it.
Pippa Harrison. Yeah. You must always use your full name. That's quite nice. It's quite nice because they can kind of rip it up and they don't have to think about it, but you've left them with a very kind of polite and diplomatic kind of exchange. What's really good as well is if you, when you are in an audition and they say, oh, you know, how are you, how's things going? And there's something that you tell them about something that's going to be happening. It might not be a job. It may be that you're taking a salsa class. It may be that your dog's had puppies. It may be something totally different. You need to have these things ready. But sometimes you could say to them, I did the salsa class, it was brilliant. Or, by the way, I went to the premiere and actually it was you were right, it was a great film, or something. And that's just establishing normal social communication. It's not kind of stalkery or anything like that. And it's not saying, I want a job.
No.
Which is obviously what we're not going to say. They know who you are and what you do and what you have to offer them. It's just about reminding them, I'm here. People in the UK are a bit funny about actors getting in touch with them and wanting feedback.
Yeah.
For auditions. Generally, ask your agent. If you don't have an agent, I wouldn't ask. You get into a difficult situation where a casting director has to say, either they go, oh, you weren't quite right for it, or you're really asking them to say, well, you were rubbish.
It makes them very uncomfortable.
It's not a good thing to do. So I always think it is quite nice if you've met somebody to, certainly if you've been for more than one audition, you know, if you do 2 recalls and something, you're really close. They want you to do it. The casting director wants you to get the job because they can go home, job done, tick. So they want it for you as much as you want it for you. So if you've gone down a bit of a process with a casting director, I would consider that quite an established communication.
Yeah, you're almost in a relationship.
I would say you then have a relationship with that person. So you go back to your spreadsheet and you write, Pam Dixon, met her 7 times for whatever. You know, she has cats, we did this, sent her a postcard on the 1st of October 2015. So you then know that when you get new headshots done in 3 months' time, you can send her a postcard saying, you know, hope everything's going well, I've had some new headshots done, thought you might like to see them. Best wishes, Pippa Harrison. Not, I want a job, I'm still here. Not, I'm desperate. What you're actually saying is, I'm really busy.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, I've just finished playing Juliet, or we just finished shooting this, or I'm looking forward to something about this. Talk about something that you've either just done or you're just about to do. You look like you're busy, and it comes back to that firm handshake. You look like somebody who doesn't need her job. You want it, but you don't need it because you've got all this other stuff going on. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Shall we move on to
Girls, please
headshots?
repeat the questions for the video.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Michelle.
Yeah. Shall we move on to actual tools? Should we talk about networking tools?
Yeah.
Things that you use? And sorry, one more question, then we'll move on.
Yeah, no, I was just want to touch on the question before. How do they feel about going to the casting director office and drop off?
Okay, how do casting directors feel about actors turning up at their office and dropping off headshots? Most of the time...
Some of them are okay with it, other ones are not.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the same with all of this. We talk about casting directors as a big generic group. They're not. They all work in totally different ways, and you need to find out which casting director and which office like to be approached in what way. And that's a phone call. And you can phone them up and say, do you want me to drop in a headshot, or would you prefer I emailed? Some casting director go, I only want emails. Some of them say, I want a physical headshot.
So you can contact them directly?
You need to phone them and find out. Just speak to the
receptionist
receptionist and find out.
I mean, the question is really, why are you going there to drop it off? Are you just literally going in as a pseudo post person to drop it in, or are you going there on the off chance of hanging around, being seen, talking to someone? You know, because they won't like the latter.
No.
The former's fine, be the post person if you want to be, but you are still better off phoning reception. You know, it's not state secret. It's in their interest to tell you how they like stuff to be sent in.
Pretty universally, agents, casting directors, producers don't like surprises.
No.
And they're busy. Everybody's busy. How would you feel if I turned up at your door at 8:45 tomorrow morning with my CV?
Yeah.
You go, I'm having a shower. What are you doing? You lunatic. Go away. Or your office, or whatever it was. Be aware that you're breaking into somebody's day. You have no idea what their day contains. But it's a very cold way to deliver your information. So you need to find out how they like to be approached. And that comes back to your own personal database. You know, Pam Dixon hates email. Don't ever email her.
Yeah, or Debbie. On Monday night, we did a panel session here with agents, and there was a lot of discussion about submissions and how they like it and how they don't like it and what they prefer. So have a look at that video, which will be on the SAG Foundation website, because it's all there, and that's for here. So that's what they like doing. Yeah, we thought we'd talk about tools, you know, your kit, your weapons, your armaments, whatever you want to call them. Which do really split into the traditional and then the sort of digital, although the two can work together quite well. So, I'll have a chat about headshots, yeah.
Okay. Headshots, obviously we have a directory and a database of 60,000 actors, all with about 15 different headshots, so I'm quite used to looking at headshots. In the UK, there is a different kind of style to in the US, okay? The universal thing is that you need to pay for a photo that is the best quality you can possibly afford. Don't get Uncle Jim to do it because he's got a good camera. Don't, okay? We like photos of ourselves where we look good, yeah? When you go through your holiday photos, you go, that one's really nice. Probably doesn't look much like you. It's how we hope we look, yeah? We all do that. I'm the same. Your headshot as an actor is your first audition and you're not there for it, okay? It must look exactly like you, how you look today. Not 6 months ago, not when your hair was longer, not when you had a beard, not when you were wearing glasses. How you look today when you turn up in the audition. Because the casting director will come out and they'll look around the waiting room and they'll go, oh, she's not here, that's weird. And you'll go, oh, I am sorry, I didn't straighten my hair, I just left it curly. You've not got the job. You're not what they thought was coming. They don't like surprises, okay? So make sure your photos are always, always up to date and look exactly like you. Don't worry if you don't like it very much. It needs to just be an accurate, warts and all, of what you look like.
The eyes are the most important thing.
Yep.
Real clarity around your eyes. Sorry.
I had a discussion with my agent earlier in this week where my headshot is about 2 years old, and it's not my favorite. I don't feel it looks like it anyway.
Okay.
But her stance was, but I've been sending this same photo for 2 years now, and people recognize you based on this photo.
Yep. Your agent obviously thinks it's a good photo, and it obviously still looks like you. Oh, sorry. The question was, this girl's agent is still sending out a photo that she had taken 2 years ago and says that actually the casting directors recognise her on the basis of that photograph. So there's no point in changing it. You obviously still look like it because your agent, if you weren't getting meetings from it, your agent would have changed it. That throws up a really interesting point on the kind of digital thing, is that your main headshot, you should use the same one across all platforms, even if you have other ones as well. But have that photo as your headshot, that photo on Breakdown Services, that photo on your website, that photo on your LinkedIn profile, because then people go, oh yeah, it's Pippa Harrison, it's the same person. And obviously there are loads of other photos on there as well, but that is your brand.
It's your logo.
It's your logo for your small company. And it is also your first audition. That will get you the audition. And some of you may find that using certain photos are more successful than using other photos. Yeah.
You need to think about how it's going to be used as well. It's not always going to be the size that you've got it printed out at, or you know.
Yeah,
use
look at it as a thumbnail.
Look at it in a very small size as well, and see if it still works, if it still really looks like you, if it's still really clear, if they can, you know.
Stylistically as well, if you are working in the UK or want to work in the UK, you need to have photos taken over there. You would be horrified by the actors' headshots in Spotlight, because they're black and white by default because they appear in a book, although online they're all in colour. And we take the warts and all thing to extremes you'd never even understand. It's like a freak show. There's no airbrushing, there's no makeup is very, very light, there's no blow-dried hair or anything. It's like a freak show. It's like a Mike Leigh film on acid. On the other side, yours are all beautiful and 3/4 to camera, and the colouring's lovely, and everyone's airbrushed, and everyone's just glossy and lovely, and they're all very nice. You cannot use the photos across the Atlantic. If you use American shots in the UK, people think you're a model, and if you use UK photos over here, everyone thinks you're a junkie.
Or dead.
Or dead.
Yeah.
So just be aware, understand those sort of local markets, that actually they are very, very different. And if you're appearing in both, you need to sell yourself slightly differently.
You need to, there's no point trying to change the market, you need to fit into it.
So have some for both if you're doing both. And your one great headshot is all you need. One that looks like you, warts and all, no props, no hands, no weird angles where you're looking over the back of your neck, no distracting backdrops, nothing like that. One where you look neutral and people can imagine you as a lawyer, as a junkie, as a mother, as a father, everything.
All at the same time.
Yeah. Very talented. Yeah. Any questions about headshots? Yes.
I've also gotten the advice that with headshots, depending on which role you're submitting yourself to, your agent is submitting yourself to, like commercial versus theatrical, it's recommended to have different looks to be able to be like, look at, I fit the 15-year-old, or look at, I can be a young mom type thing. So
yeah.
I agree with you in thinking that consistency is better.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the question was about having different photos for kind of commercial versus theatrical versus different things. When you go and have your headshots taken, your main aim is to get one cracking photo. If you can get other ones of you looking a bit different, for men it's always great to have some with a collared shirt and some with just a t-shirt, just around it, so that then if you're going up for some commercial things where they want a mechanic, you're going to send your t-shirt photo rather than your collared shirt. It's a kind of sensible thing to do. And girls often, you know, and men as well, but hair up, hair down, facial hair, that's men. That, you know, it's quite useful to have those because people do look very different. But not everyone can afford to have kind of 10 different versions of a current photograph. So the main thing is to have one cracking one straight off. Cool.
CVs, resumes. Or CV, as we sort of call them in the UK. Photos on them, absolutely. Small one in the top, so that when your main photo gets separated from your letter and everything else, they still know what you look like. Get those embedded into your CV. It's always got to be up to date. I mean, I know that sounds really obvious, but you'd be amazed at the stuff that we see and how it comes in and how things are presented. I work for a membership organisation. I am therefore beholden completely at the beck and call of my members, and that's how it should be. Casting directors are not. If I get letters written in yellow ink, you know, and I've had this italic script with a note saying, sorry, my printer inks have gone a bit mad. It's like, well, I still have to try and read that. Nobody else in the world does. They can just throw that away, and they will. So it's all about professionalism, isn't it, really? And what we all think that is might be slightly different from one person to the other, but it is about presenting a cohesive, coherent, professional image at all times. So real basic stuff. If you're actually putting things in the post, same paper for your letter as for your CV, the same stock. So you don't do one on white and one on cream and one on green and one on, you know. It's got to look professional. It has to be giving every single aspect of everything that they first come across you as has got to scream, I'm a pro. That's just how it works.
Just, sorry to interrupt, Louise, just in terms of kind of resumes, how many of you have your own copy of your resume that you keep up to date? How many of you have got it on you today? How many of you have got it so that you could email it to me today? Okay. And how many of you maintain multiple CVs across different places? So your own CV, IMDb, breakdown. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And how good are you at keeping all of those up to date? That's back to your, what do you do with your 168 hours thing. They've all got to be, you know, bang up to date, really. Training credits. Now, we usually get asked about training credits, and they're a bit different here. Yeah?
Yeah, I just have one question about headshots.
Okay.
Is it the measurements of the headshots same in US and UK, or is it different?
Yeah, no,
we're
generally,
being
if
asked
you're
about
doing
the size of headshot measurements, that's what we're being asked about. So is it the same in the UK or the US? So it's usually 8 by 10.
Yeah, it's generally a 10 by 8 headshot. We use the same size. Okay. The only difference is, in the US, you staple your resume to the back of your CV. In the UK, you staple your photograph on top and your resume underneath. Yeah. So you do it like that.
The first thing they see is you rather than what you've done.
Yeah, so in the US, you do it like that, and we like it like that. Yeah. Stupid, but it's just one of those things.
Question at the back, and then we'll carry on.
Okay.
Being asked about how much stuff you should put on your resume is more, less is more. Is there a happy medium? One page is really the length that the casting people will look at or have time for or be interested in. Really, the one page limit is pretty universal.
Casting directors are really good at reading CVs and reading stuff that's just padding. And that's really annoying. If you're in the luxurious position of having a CV, a resume that is 6 pages long, you can whittle it down to 1 page of brilliant stuff. If you're just starting out, you may only have 5 credits, so put them all down. Once you're in a position where you're going over a page, I would cut it down so it's always 1 page. Yep.
I come from quite like a dance background, and I want to go into the acting route more. So with my CV, I wonder whether to put some dance experience where I might be like a dance captain or something, which shows a bit of a higher status. But then I think with the acting field, disregard that.
Okay, the question was about this lady's done quite a lot of dance work and worked as a dance captain and wondering where and how she should put that onto the CV. I think that sort of thing's great to put on as long as you differentiate it. So you say work as a dance captain. Bear in mind, in the US, casting directors see those additional things like dance skills, music skills, professional singer, martial artist, those sort of things as extra things that you can do. In the UK, people think it means you're probably not a very good actor because you can't possibly be an actor and a dancer and a martial artist. I'm just saying it how it is. In the UK, actors are put into little boxes. So if you are also a writer and a director and a producer, do it, but put it all on different CVs. Don't have it on one CV. And bear in mind, if you're an American actor, sending your resume to people in the UK, take off your other stuff. Only put on skills that add to your acting ability. Don't put on anything that people might presume means that you've got a divided interest. It's a really stupid thing, and I'm deeply ashamed of the whole UK industry for it, but it's true.
It is how it is. The other thing about that is if is work here and translating it for the UK is different terminology. So supporting role here does not mean what it means in the UK. Supporting role in the UK is like a walk-on role.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're putting, and of course, obviously here it's much more higher up the food chain. So you need to make that clear. If you've got supporting roles here, you need to make that really clear if you're sending stuff out to the UK. But that's actually almost a featured role. It's not. It's not sitting in the pub in the background.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with doing that whatsoever, but it's not what you've done. So you need to just make that really clear, those sorts of distinctions. Are there any more really obvious terminology ones?
I mean, the resume stuff is all fair. There is a standard thing, and it's really easy to find online how that looks and how yours should be. It should be one page, keep it professional, all your acting information. Don't add on things about your marital status and... People don't want any of that, and certainly in the UK, people don't want to hear that you can do anything apart from be a brilliant actor.
The training thing is different, though, because in the UK, most people do. I've done my drama school training. I'm done with training. That's it. Here, people tend to keep doing things and certainly our agents are saying it's really important that people do, particularly for like commercials and whatever, that people do those workshops, and they're fine to put in your CV here. Not so much in the UK, not really that interested in training and things that you've done, unless you are quite recently graduated, in which case, yes, because that will be the big thing that you've done. But it's just a thing to think about. They're not so impressed by that. They're more about, you know...
Yeah, we have no culture of ongoing professional training in the UK. And if you list a whole load of one-day workshops, people think you're probably not very serious about it. Yeah. If you've done them here, put them down, because casting directors realise that you're obviously an American actor and you've done your training over here, and the training here is always much more modular and always has been. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, leave it on there because it is still, they will still want to see some evidence of your training.
It's about where you put it and how you talk about it and, you know, how you present it, really.
To join Spotlight, you either need to have trained at a recognised drama school, which will be one of the 20 leading drama schools in the UK, or a number of foreign equivalents that we have. Yeah. If you haven't done that, you need to have a minimum of 4 professional credits that need to be named speaking parts in theatre, feature film or television. So it can't be commercials, music videos, yeah.
Hello, you've been trying to ask for ages.
Sorry.
It's okay. I was wondering about, you mentioned a picture on the resume in case you get separated from the headshot.
Yep.
Now, can that picture on the resume be different from the headshot, or should it be the same?
Yeah, the question was, can the picture on the resume be different or the same as your main shot? It can be the same or different, it doesn't matter.
Great.
It's what you feel presents you best, because that's what it's all about, it's how you present yourself best. Right, who's got business cards in the room? Not everybody. Business cards. Who's got a business card?
Okay. Who says they are an actor on theirs?
Who says Louise Grainger actor?
Yeah. Okay.
Who says something else as regards what you do?
Okay.
Now, are these performance business? Are these to do with your performance work, or are they to do with a different thing that you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Cards are they are the best thing. They are the easiest way to get your name out to people, and we'll talk a bit about the kind of face-to-face networking. Cards is a great way in for everybody, and everybody you meet professionally, you should aim to leave them with your card. It's much easier than reaching around in your bag and going, I think I've got 3 sheets of my resume here. That's horrible. Nobody wants to take that home. Card, straight to the point, great. It can go in my back pocket, and I get home and I go through all the cards I've been given.
And again, have your photo on it. Have your money shot, your cracking a good photo on your business card.
The same thing again, it's amazing how many times I get CVs or business cards or photographs where something's crossed out because somebody's changed their mobile number.
It's not good.
It's really weird. People pay thousands of pounds to have all this kind of great networking stuff. And then they go, I haven't managed to get a new card, so it's my old number, but I've written in my Yahoo address. That just looks rubbish. That doesn't look like a confident handshake, does it? It looks like a slightly hokey thing.
It's like you're not taking yourself seriously.
Is it Vistaprint everyone uses here? Yeah. Get them done, cheap. Even if you only get 20 of them, get them so you're not the person giving out a scribbled out thing. Just don't be that person.
Is it okay not to put the phone number, or you think you should put the phone number?
Is it okay not to put the phone number? I always think it's a personal thing. I think the best thing to do is to have your name, that you're an actor, your website, if you're in Spotlight, your Spotlight PIN number, or your link through to your CV if it's on Breakdown, or your website or whatever. I'm always a bit funny about having mobile numbers on there just because I kind of go, do you really...
You don't know who it
Yeah. So it's a personal thing. Some people are very happy with it. If obviously you are putting your mobile number out on everything, be aware that that is your office line. So your funny message of you in the toilet singing, don't. And keep your message up to date. Hi, you're through to Pippa on Thursday. I'm in rehearsals all day, but I'll be picking up my messages at 2. Yeah. That's brilliant, because again, you're the safe pair of hands. And if I'm a casting director, I'll leave her a message. I know she's busy and I know when she's going to be picking me up. Don't just go, yeah, it's 4701, thanks, leave me a message.
See you.
I don't know whether I've got through to the right person or not. Say, hi, you're through to Pippa Harrison. This is what I'm doing. This is why I can't take your call.
I have 2 phones.
Show off.
I know. Well, actually, I've got more than 2, but there's only 2 I'm actually going to admit to. I have 2 phones. One is for work stuff, and that's the number that goes on business cards, and one is for people who are part of my life, and they get the other number, and that's, you know, I think that's fair enough. And some performers do that, and it does cut down that security thing a bit, because then you've only got one number that's going out to absolutely everybody, and that's harder to change and so on. But if you have one for each, but yeah, it is a personal choice, and it's something that comes up quite frankly more with women than men. Yeah, for very obvious reasons.
So if we've talked a bit about those kind of traditional tools, about having your resume that's up to date, always have it on you, whether that's a physical copy or an emailable copy or something.
On your iPad?
That if you met somebody right now, you could give me a copy of it. So make sure you've always got it on you. You've got business cards that are up to date with no scribbling out on them. You've found out whether casting directors like to be contacted by email or letter or whatever, something over the ether, however. So you've got that information.
Yeah, sorry, just one thing. When asking the receptionist about how people like to be contacted, if they just say email, that's great, but dig a little further.
Yeah.
Say, does that mean they want attachments? Because some officers won't open attachments because they think they might be carrying viruses. Does it mean you just embed everything into the text, the email? Ask that question.
Yeah. And then work out your template emails or letters. Really short and really to the point, okay? If you're dyslexic, get somebody to check it all for you, get the layout nice, and have it on your computer, so if you need to email or write to somebody today, you could do it and it would take you 5 minutes, okay? Really short, really to the point. Dear so-and-so, I'm writing to you because I know you're casting Game of Thrones and I would be perfect for it. Attaches my resume and my photo. Best wishes, Pippa Harrison. Don't say, I loved all the stuff you did in this, you were amazing, I thought that was great.
I'm a big sci-fi fan.
Yep.
Isn't that technically asking for a job?
Isn't there a...
Isn't that technically asking for a job? As you said earlier, don't ask for a job.
She's asking about whether it's technically asking for a job. If you're writing to a casting director because you know they're casting a particular project, then that's when you want them to have your CV in front of them. So you're not saying, give me a job, you're saying, consider me, because actually I look perfect for this.
Right, so it's okay to say consider.
Yeah, if you're writing about a specific project at a specific time, what's annoying is if they get the whole letter with you just going, hi, I'm a really great actress. And? What am I supposed to do with that? So's everybody. Yeah. Get over it. If it's something where you've spent a bit of time going, you know, I know you're casting for, I don't know, Robin Hood. I'm an amazing horse rider and, you know, I would be brilliant and I've got a brilliant Nottingham accent or whatever.
Green tights.
Then it's specific. You've done your research. You look like an actor who knows what's going on and you know what they're doing. So it's appropriate. And also, it's very short and very to the point. And you're not asking them for anything in return apart from let me be on your list. That's all you're saying. So in that sort of thing, it's what you write. Doing pages and pages of, you know, when I grew up, I was doing this. Nobody cares. Shut up. Don't do it. It's a really weird industry, this, because it's deceptively professional. Because everyone dresses casually and calls each other darling and it's all lovey-lovey and it's all great, you sort of think you don't have to be so professional. And actually, it's a business letter. And you wouldn't write any other business letter in kind of text speak or with abbreviations or put kisses on the end. So don't do it. You know, don't do it now.
There's a lady with a hand up at the back.
Oh,
Hi.
sorry.
I have 2 quick questions. Is that the same, like we're seeing a lot, I'm representing my son. So we're seeing a lot of the same kind of like on people's Twitter accounts or doing that same thing that they would in an email.
Yep.
To me seems kind of, you know, detached.
A bit, yeah. Yeah, okay, the first question was about whether it's okay to contact people on Twitter and things like that. And the second question was on your business cards, whether it's appropriate to have your representation on it. The business cards, yes, if you've got an agent, a manager, I would put those details on there.
Yeah.
In relation to the Twitter thing, we'll kind of come on to that in a bit in relation to what are the channels you need to be on and what are the ones you need to kind of leave. But it does all come back to you having your own personal database of information so that you make a note which casting directors are on which particular channels, because they're all different. So we'll come on to that.
That actually ties into the thing about the covering letter or the email, is get the right name of the person. Back to that, you know, no dear sir, madam stuff.
Yeah.
You need the name of the person, and again, you're back to that friendly chat with the receptionist to find out who it is, or whatever your research tools are. But it's so important, you know, and spell it right. I get letters that go, dear Louse, because they've missed the I out of Louise. You know.
The other thing is...
yes, but kind of no. So,
that happens a lot. And also a thing about don't assume a Chris is a bloke. Ring up and just say, sorry, can I just check, is Chris male or female?
Joe.
Those sort of things are, they throw you if you go into an audition and you're expecting Chris the bloke and you go, oh, you're Chris. I thought I just presumed she was a man. You know, that sort of thing. Just it's a bit of research and it sounds so obvious, but don't put yourself in the category where you're the person that's just got it wrong, because you can find out. Yep.
How about your reel? Should you attach it to like a link on your card, or should you email it along with your headshots?
Okay, the question was about your reel and whether you should attach that to things, whether you should embed it, whether you should put it on your cards. You should all have a reel, short, up to date, your best stuff, and you should have it on you now so that you could show me if I wanted to see it, okay? In terms of sending it out to people, generally, casting directors don't tend to like seeing those unless they've asked for them.
That's the UK.
Because, and more so in the UK, because if you email them, people, suddenly their computers crash and they can't download it, or they have to go to WeTransfer it, or Vimeo, or YouTube, or da-da-da-da-da, and it takes them out of their kind of working day. What you should all do is have your reels on your professional sites, whether that's Breakdown or whether that's Spotlight, so that people can see it, and it's in a kind of professional framework.
You could even add like on your card, like
yep, put the link on so that people can see you kind of at their leisure. Sending it directly is generally a no-no because people go, and the same with huge photographs. You know, people don't realise they're sending a massive file and it's taking 3 hours to download. People are just going to be annoyed by the time they open it. Yeah.
I'm not sure whether you're going to touch on this at the end, but I was an actor in London for a long time, and I've lived here now for 2.5 years. And in LA, there's a lot of emphasis on networking personally, going to bars.
We are going to talk about face-to-face networking, which is that question.
Yeah, we'll
so we will move on to digital, and then we'll do face-to-face, and then we can all go home.
Okay, digital.
Digital, right. We've
Most important.
sort of skirted around it a bit as we've been going along. The first thing is back to the photos and making sure that they are across all your channels, so that you are who you are in every aspect, in every forum that you are using. We've touched on some of what we would call the quality casting sites. There are lots of things out there that say sign up to this, put yourself on that. You know, we're used by everybody. That's just not true, is it? Not everybody's used by everybody. We know that. So get yourself onto the quality casting site. So that is Spotlight, IMDb Pro. You know, make sure that and Breakdown, obviously. LA Casting, they're here. Showcast is Australia. I've heard some Australian accents in the room, so yeah, they are. And again, we said before, keep track of what you've got up there. Keep it current. Keep it right. You know, keep checking on it, etc. Websites, who's got one?
Good work.
Okay. Do you know how many people go to them? How many people look at you, use it? Who's got tracking stuff on their websites? Okay, who's got tracking stuff on their websites and never actually looks at the tracking stuff on their website? There we go. Yeah, the stuff that has to be on there is for a professional website is not your pictures of you on holiday or whatever, you know, not the sort of Facebook stuff. It's the, you want your resume, you want your biography, where you can talk a bit about your influences
Yep.
and your upbringing, but not too much. Let's not go crazy. Your gallery, that's where you can put many more of these photos that you've paid for and you want and show you in a different light or in period costume or something. You can put them into that. Your reel, obviously we talked about that. Really important stuff is what you're doing. The thing about websites is they have
What
to
you're
be
doing now.
moving, they have to be active. What are you doing now? What are you in? What have you just done? That stuff. You know, you want to link in onto your website, to your Twitter feed if you've got them, to your Facebook pages, to, you know, all those different formats need to link through your website. That's really important. And how to get hold of you. And again, that's almost the same conversation we just had about your business card. So whether you want to put mobile phone numbers on there or not, whether you want to put your agency, most people have their agents or managers or both or whatever on there, which is helpful.
And make sure your name is
domain
the name
name.
of the website, is your email address, is everything.
Yeah.
Don't have brightyoungnewactress.com, don't have
Please don't
email
have that.
hot new star, don't,
No.
And the same thing, if you've got a different professional name to your birth name, make sure you use your professional name all the time. It's so irritating when people go, oh, I'm Pippa, yes, but my CV says actually Philippa Harrison, and on my website is Pip Harrison. That's just annoying. You're muddling my mind. Just tell me who you are. That's your brand, and that's your website, and that's your web address, and that's everything.
You know, you can be whoever you like in private.
Yes.
But, you know, it's your professional name is the one that is what is your brand, and that's the thing. And once you've educated an entire industry, you don't have to be re-educating them again and say, well, actually, I am that person. I've just decided that today I'm Jezebel, you know, or whatever. Or call me Lulu today instead of Louise. No, never call me Lulu, never. But, you know, you've got to keep it straight. So your website name, your emails, everything should be in your professional actor name. That's it. There is that thing about com versus .co.uk versus any other sort of ending. We've got just .uk, really quite popular in the UK at the moment. Doesn't really matter, actually. Doesn't matter at all. They're all, you know, usable and lookable at. Com is more common here, you know, .co.uk is more common over the water, but it doesn't really matter. So, you know, so long as it works, that's the thing that matters. As long as everywhere it's put, it's right and it works. Quite a lot of professionals buy versions, buy all the versions of that domain name. So louisegrainger.co.uk, louisegrainger.com, louisegrainger.net, louisegrainger.uk, just get the lot. And then some other Louise Grainger who's nothing to do with what I do can't have it. So there you go. Yeah. So, and it cuts down on confusion. So a lot of people do that and then they redirect one onto you know, the thing that's actually the one that you've worked on and made gorgeous and glorious and happening. So,
Can I butt in?
Yeah, please.
Just in terms of all the kind of digital networking and social media, you need to find out how casting directors like to be contacted, because there are some who go, yeah, actually I put castings out on Facebook. Some do, some don't. You need to find out and just then make a decision about what you're going to use. You don't have to use all of them, but just make sure that the ones you do use, you use and are interactive, not just active, okay? Nobody just wants to hear about you. What's interesting is you commenting on things or you seeing stuff and saying, I saw this movie, it was amazing, or I've just done a great workshop with so-and-so, look at their feed, that's interesting. Don't just be on there talking about yourself, because that's not going to work. But decide which ones you're going to use. So it may be that you go, actually, Twitter's great for me, I'm not on Instagram and I'm not on Facebook, and I do LinkedIn occasionally, whatever. But choose your weapon.
Choose what works.
That's probably not a very good expression.
It is, it's absolutely that.
You know what I mean? Don't feel like you have to be on everything, but be aware that casting directors will use different sites for different things. And certainly the big casting sites like Spotlight, Facebook is pretty useless for us. Twitter is massive for us. So just, you know, have a look around and see what works for what the type of work you want to be doing.
Yeah, the whole thing about Twitter in particular is it's a conversation. That's what it is. It's a very big conversation. It's open to loads and loads and loads and loads of people, but it's a conversation. So if all you talk about is me, well, that would be really boring if you're just having that conversation with somebody anyway. And you don't want to be boring. That's the last thing you want to be. No one wants to get involved with a boring person. So even if you are boring, don't be boring in public. You know, that's the message. You know, just avoid doing that. And it is about commenting, it's about sharing information, asking questions is always great on Twitter. That always gets responses. Twitter likes lists, it's very weird. So it's like, did you know the top 10, you know, actors in wherever earning this, doing that, or the 3 people who played Dick Whittington's cat. You know, those kind of question list things are really popular. Times a day with social media. There are certain times a day that are most used for certain strands than others. So Twitter is pretty brilliant mid-morning or morning. People are travelling, people are moving around. They can do it really quickly, then catch it. Facebook later on in the day. When people have perhaps got home from their regular job, they've got some time, they can do stuff. So, you know, just think about which suits you and who you are on these things. I'm not saying create a whole new personality, that's not right, but it's back to your professional image. If this is your professional Twitter going out in your actor name, then you don't start, you know, trolling, abusing, you don't tweet when you're drunk, you don't start saying rude things about other people's performances.
No information about productions, auditions.
Nothing, you know.
Don't.
Anything that's slightly sensitive. You know, if the Coronation Street cast or any other major soap starts leaking stuff on Twitter, they're sacked. So, you know, it's that simple. And it's easy to do because you get quite chatty and chirpy, and don't do it. You know, and the point is, if you do that, you just look an idiot, and once you're an idiot, you're always an idiot. That's the perception of you forever and ever. Amen to an entire industry. So, you know, don't do it. It takes 2 seconds and it ruins stuff quite quickly. The other thing about this is spelling, typos, incomprehensible abbreviations. It's all very well being hip, being unintelligible, not so good. So, you know, watch acronyms, all of those things. Just watch what you're doing. You know, spell check. Read it through before you hit tweet. Some terrible typos get out there. When you change one, back to my name again. But, you know, things like that. One letter can make a big difference in the world because tons of people can see it, and they will. And there is that thing about etiquette. Behave online how you would behave in public. You know, that's really it. It's that simple because it's even more public than any other way you're ever going to be seen. Follow industry people. Get involved in their blogs, read their blogs. A lot of industry people blog. Comment if appropriate, and professionally and constructively, and you know, none of the other stuff. It's about engaging. It's about making them aware of who you might be, that you're out there, that you exist, or whatever. Follow industry organisations. Don't stress if they're not following you back. You know, sometimes, and it's okay to not follow people. It's not, they aren't going to think you're the rudest person in the world, but you don't have to follow everybody who follows you. But have a think about who you're using, and then use them all as information resources. You know, that's the thing about Twitter. You find out all sorts of stuff. It just flows across your screen. You go, oh, whoa, really? Ping, and follow that up, and then that can lead on to, and it can give you a name of someone, and if it's a connection, and then you can connect to them. So it's a marvellous thing, but it's not for everybody, and if it's not for you, do something else. You know, there are lots of options out there.
But be aware that there is lots of information on there, so it is a good place for you to keep an eye on and just choose your kind of channel and then keep that up to date.
The other thing about, just think about Facebook and stuff, is something that's came up earlier, privacy settings. You know, use them if they're there for a reason, have a look at them, apply them if you want to, but you know, they are there and you can use them, and many people do. So it's not, you have a little bit of control over what's coming your way. People who, equity members have access to online resources about how to build your website from scratch, how to use social media for networking, all that sort of stuff. We have all those as sort of just free resources for our members. And I know the SAG Foundation website has loads in their business archive about all sorts of stuff. So use those sorts of resources, for heaven's sake. They're just there and waiting for you.
Cool. So you've got all your kind of traditional kind of marketing, networking stuff. You've got your letters, you've got all your Twitter accounts, you've got all that sorted out. Video.
Yeah.
More and more, you will get jobs based on stuff you've taped yourself, or you've videoed yourself. Even if you're the most technophobic person out there, you have to get really good at self-taping, okay? So you need to have the means to do it. You need to have a camera. You need to have a little tripod. If you're doing it on an iPod or iPad, you need to do it landscape, not profile. You need to work out where in your house you do it, where there's a constant background, where there isn't your dressing gown hanging on the back of the door. More and more, first auditions will be a video submission, okay, or an EcoCast or whatever. So you need to make sure that you can do that anytime, any day, okay? Don't be the person that goes, oh, I haven't got a Skype account, I can't really do that, that's a bit difficult. Again, you're cutting yourself out of the market, okay? So you need to be able to tape all the time. If you haven't done it or don't do it very often, practice it. Where is the best place in my kitchen to sit where the light's the best? What is the best top to wear? What is the best makeup to wear? What's the best angle to have the tripod? So that you can just do it any day. You're absolutely match ready. Yep?
Yeah,
Sorry, it's the lady at the back.
Sorry, can you use these things as like showroom material as well?
The lady's asking whether you can use this sort of stuff as showreel material. You can. It tends to look a bit hokey.
Yeah. So there's nothing that says you can't, but showreels, people have an expectation it's going to be clips from professionally made shows and stuff, and it becomes apparent if yours isn't.
I spent quite a bit on having a proper showreel made. It's only like 2 scenes.
Okay.
And I could probably cut them down shorter.
That's the lady's saying she's had a professional showreel and there are just a couple of scenes. It's fine if you just have one 15-second clip. That is fine. People no longer expect a long 7-minute showreel with you in everything. They just don't watch it. So anything, as long as it's really good quality. So it's brevity is more important. If you've just got something short and sweet, that's fine.
It's called what they call it, slate shots.
Yeah.
That's
Have any of you done slate shots here?
Yeah.
Which are kind of, I think they're quite neat. They look quite kind of cool. It's a 7-second, hi, my name's Pippa Harrison. And when you view it as a casting director, it's like your photo just animates slightly. It's really, I think they're quite a nice thing. Yeah, they're good, and everyone wants to see what you look like on video, so you need to get very good at doing that. You need to get very good at doing Skype interviews or
you need to get very comfortable with it, because that will make you more confident. We talked about how that comes across. There's a hand waving at me from the back.
Yep.
The self-taping, what are you actually self-taping? Are you doing something by yourself, or like if it's a scene or something, don't you need another person?
Okay, the question is, you're self-taping, what are you self-taping? Generally, you will have been given a side and told to self-tape that particular side. Yeah, it would be something that you've been requested. Either your agent's asked you to self-tape for it, or a casting director's asked you to tape for something, and it would have a set script.
So it's like an audition, but it's doing it in a different technological format, really.
Yep.
With nobody in the room watching you, just the camera.
Yeah, you would just be doing.
Get something to read with you.
Generally, when you're self-taping, you would have somebody reading in the other part. They must never be on camera. And their bits are very short, obviously, but somebody off camera reading the other part, and then just your lines to camera. Yep, there was a question there. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you put your self-tapes on the website? You can do. You need to be aware that self-tapes actually belong to the casting director. So if you're putting self-tapes up there of roles you haven't got, it's not great. I wouldn't personally recommend it. By all means, keep hold of them all, and the casting directors have archiving facilities so they can keep everything you've ever submitted for them. But it's not something that I would publish myself as a performer. Cool.
Last question then. Okay.
For reels, I've got one that I am not that happy with. So is it all right to just do a slate reel in the meantime?
Yeah.
Just be like, I'm working on it, and I'd rather honestly not have something that doesn't look the best it possibly can.
Okay.
So, like, not the right material.
The question is about having a show reel that you're not very happy with and whether it's all right to have a kind of slate reel. More and more, that's what people are wanting, certainly here. I was in Breakdown Services yesterday and they were saying casting directors more and more just want tiny little clips and just your best stuff. So that's fine.
Yeah, we're going to move on. We've got about 20 minutes left, so we're going to work on face-to-face.
Okay.
Which is really what we've been doing all day. This is what it is. This is what we're doing.
Okay. There are lots and lots of opportunities for you to promote yourself and network, all outside of the formal audition process. Okay. You have to be in touch with people. You have to be talking to people, whether that's digitally, online, emailing, whatever. But you have to be talking and listening to people and attending things. You have to be out and about. If you're sat in your kitchen in your pyjamas, it's not as good, okay? It's not going to work quite as well. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more people you meet. And if you get into that habit of being the confident handshake, handing out your cards, your networking web just widens very naturally. It's not stalkery, it's not weird, it's not spooky, it just does. And the more people you know and the more people you talk to, the more work you hear about, okay? So you need to be out and about and you need to be talking to people.
I mean, there are things like there's the, because we have the London tweet-ups, but there's the LA Actors tweet-ups. They do, obviously they're a Twitter group, but they also have physical meetings and gets together and they just all get people in rooms and with other people and they talk and stuff. There's Stage 32, people on Stage 32 here, which is again a big sort of networking, and again they do actual, a lot of online stuff, but physical in the room, groups, meetings, get-togethers, you know, hooking up with writers and directors as well as other actors and stuff. So it was a question about how you find out about what's going on. It was one of the earlier questions, wasn't it? Yeah. So there are a couple of places. Equity members in Los Angeles and New York are forming networks and getting together. So if you are in either of those two places and are an equity member, you can join in to those groups. And again, part of that is about mutual support and finding out what's going on, talking to each other and sharing stuff. But yeah, you know, you have to be out and about. So if this were London, we'd be saying opening nights, hang around in the bar, go to theatre. There are obvious equivalents here. You know, where are the local hangouts, the creative hangouts, the clubs and the pubs that the people go to? Go hang.
Pubs. There are pubs here.
Yeah, there are pubs here. There are some. But bars.
And I mean, things like this and events, when you're meeting other actors, they are your allies. They're not your competition, actually, because they're all in different casting brackets. They are your allies. And that is about kind of forming groups, doing play readings, going to screenings, saying, oh, you're writing a play, oh, it'd be great to see what you're writing. Not just talking to casting directors, but talking to everyone in this industry, because yes, it's vast, but it's tiny. It's tiny. Everybody knows everybody else. And you need to know all those people, because then if you've been in touch with the writer, when it does finally get released, you get invited and you go along because you've been involved in the process. And again, it's that thing about being active and being out there and being involved in things, not being shut at home in your kitchen waiting for your agent to call.
Now, if you don't think you're naturally great at talking to people just from cold, practice. There was a question about cheesy lines and chat-up lines and all that stuff earlier on, wasn't there? Yeah, practice some, you know, so it doesn't sound, come up with some sort of openers, if you like, so it doesn't sound cheesy and hitting on you or whatever it might be. They've got to be professional. You know, there's, do you come here often? Not great, because they can just say yes or no. And it also sounds a bit wobbly. Why are you here tonight?
Yeah.
Leads on to a conversation about why they are there tonight, and that way you'll find out, well, you should be able to find out what they do, what their interest is, and then you will find something area in common. So you need to think about those openers, if you like, and also getting out lines as well.
Oh, getting out of the conversation.
Getting out the conversation without it, you know, being terrible or seen as rude or offensive or anything else. Just like, need a drink, whatever. But think of your get-outs as well as your get-ins.
Okay, kind of a practical thing. You need to get used to talking to people you've never met before, okay? So you need to start by introducing yourself to people you have never met before. Not people that you want to go out with, people that you're just networking with, okay? So you need to introduce yourself is the first thing you need to do. And you need to say your full name. Don't just say I'm Jane, because then you're just Jane. If you're Pippa Harrison, that's your brand, that's your reminder, that's your logo, okay? I'm Pippa Harrison, and you need to plan those opening lines for people. And the best way to do it is to practice it in social situations. So next time you're at a party or something, say, I have to go and talk to somebody I've never met before. And you introduce yourself. If it is somebody you've never met before, you need to just use one of those opening lines, which has to be an open question, okay? So it can't be something that you can answer yes or no, because if it does, forget it.
Game over, conversation done.
Okay,
Awkward
so an
silence.
open question. But think about things you're interested in. Think about things that might have just happened, okay? Practice that. You need to be able to read groups of people, physical groups of people. We've all had that situation where you go to a party and you don't know anyone, or you've gone to an event and you don't know anyone, yep? And you walk in and you stand on your own, yep? Everyone had that? Not just
It's
me.
my job.
Please say not just me, okay? If somebody comes up to you when you're standing on your own and starts talking to you, you would never say, please, can you go away? I'm quite happy standing here on my own. You are always so grateful that somebody has started talking to you. Remember that when you do it, okay? You're not being stalkery and you're not being weird. You're just going to open a conversation with somebody. As soon as you're having a conversation with somebody, you look like everybody else at the event. You're in a pair, okay? You're in a safe pair, yep? You need to be able to read groups, because if there are groups of people, there's such thing, if you go in and you decide, I'm going to go and talk to somebody I've never met before, just stand up a second, Louise, a demo. There is an open pair, is two people having a conversation, oh, feedback, sorry.
Steady.
So
too close, too close.
If we're standing next to each other having a conversation, we're physically quite open, yep? There is a big space here for you to come in and go, hi, I'm Pippa
Harrison.
I've just got a parking ticket in the thing, or whatever, okay? If we're talking like this, we're very closed.
We want nobody near us.
If you come in here, you're going to look like a freak. Yep? It's too close.
There's no space.
Okay? So read the group. Is it open or is it closed? And these are the open and closed pairs, but it's the same with a bigger group, okay?
3 or 5 or
If
whatever.
it's closed, you have to hover on the outside.
Do not
And again,
hover.
you look like a weirdo.
No hovering.
Okay?
It's not good. Hovering's not good. You just look
So
really awkward.
read the physical group before you go in, okay? Because otherwise you're going to put yourself in an awkward situation, and only go in to an open pair or an open group, okay? And when you go in, you're going in with your line. If it's somebody you've met before, okay, you must speak to them. How many times have you been to something and you've gone, oh my God, that's that director I worked with ages ago. I won't go and speak to him. And you go home, yeah, opportunity lost, okay? If you do that, remember me shouting at you saying you're an idiot, okay? Because it's only asking you to do one thing. It's not asking anybody else to do anything. Speak to them, even if you're embarrassed or you're not feeling great or you're not working or whatever, doesn't matter, just speak to them. And you can do it very short and sweet. If it's somebody you've met before, you must speak to them. Say your name and place yourself, okay? Yeah. When people come up to me and they go, hi, how are you doing? And I go, shit, I can't remember who they are. And it shows on my face. If they go, hi, Pippa, I met you at the SAG event, I go, oh God, yeah, I know who you are, okay? Place them, place yourself, because then you stop them having any awkwardness. Even if they know you quite well, if you say your name, they're never going to be embarrassed and go, oh, it was a bit awkward, I worked with her for 6 months and I can't remember her name, okay? So just say, hi, it's Pippa, we worked on whatever. I just wanted to say hello.
You'd want them to do it for
okay?
You know.
And they then go, oh, it's great to see you. Very rarely do people go, please go away, I'm doing something. And if you've read the physical group, you'll be fine. Yeah. Do be aware if people are eating, if people are in restaurants, it's quite awkward. What the The only way I think that works is if you're leaving and you walk past their table as you're leaving, and you could say, "Oh, hi, I'm, you know, nice to see you." Other than that, I think it's not great etiquette.
It's quite
Somebody's
intrusive.
in a restaurant.
If someone's in the middle of their fettuccine and you want to have a chat, it's not great, really.
So, if it's somebody you've met before, you are just saying your name, where they know you from, and I just wanted to say hello, or I loved the film you did, or that was brilliant, or whatever. They may carry on the conversation. The other thing is, you need to be the person who leaves it, okay? Yeah. Not the other way round. If you're still talking and they're backing off, okay? So have your get-out line in the same way that you have your intro line, which can be, "I've got to go my thing, but it was really nice to see you," okay? But leave while you're still having fun. It's like going to a party. Don't be the person that's there when the lights go on, okay?
But also, when you are talking to them, make sure you're talking to them and you're not looking over the shoulder saying, "Hi, who else might be someone more slightly more... Oh, no,
Yeah.
you're fine, but someone might be more interested. No, you're great."
Yeah.
So, what? No. Really, that's the person you're talking to.
So,
not for a long time, but that's the person you're talking to. Focus on that.
when you're going to events and things like that, find out beforehand who is going to be there and who might be useful for you to speak to.
If you can.
I think so-and-so is going to be there and they are somebody I'm quite interested in talking to, and then you must talk to them, okay? Don't cop out and find yourself in a corner with somebody you know. Don't go with somebody.
No.
Because we're all creatures of habit and we end up going, "I'll stay here and talk to my friend," because that's much less scary than going and talking to that scary person over there.
The only way it works if you go with somebody, if you've actually both understand that as soon as you get through the door, you're separating.
Yeah.
And you'll see, I'll meet you at, 2 hours to go home again, but
Yeah.
we're not doing this, we're doing this. And, yeah, if it's a bit nerve-wracking, set yourself little targets. So I am going to speak to one person tonight who I've never met before, or 3, or whatever. Now, and if you can find out about who's going to be there, do a bit of Googling, see what they look like.
Yeah.
So you don't go up and introduce you to someone who you think is whoever it is, and it turns out not to be that person. That's not good.
Yeah.
Do what you can, research, try and find out.
And
And
again,
remember, they are there pretty much because they want to be there. Nobody's dragged them into this room and forced them to talk to people. So you're all sort of doing the same thing. Yeah.
and that also goes back to the kind of personal database that you've built up, because you can check it beforehand, remind yourself what all those people look like. You've made a note of, these are the directors I've worked with, this is when we work together, this is whether they like cats or whatever. So when you see them, and you maybe haven't seen them for years, you've got something in your head that goes, "Oh God, do you remember we did this? Or have you still got your dogs?" Or whatever it is. But find that thing that's of interest. Yeah.
I've been to a couple screenings of film that I was living in recently and network afterwards, and it's fun, but a couple times I've been asked by producers and people who have no idea who I am, except they just saw, "Oh, so do you do something else?" And I think what they're getting at is, are you a working actor only, or do you have a survival job, or what they call a day job still? I want to know, so I want to know how to answer that question without seeming like I'm not a professional actor.
Okay.
Right, the question was about conversation content. This lady's been to a couple of post-screening events and has been asked by people, so do you do another job as well? Do you do something else? And how do you deal with that? Well, you can choose, because they're not going to know. They're not going to go and check you out if you say you work somewhere else. You say, "No, I'm an actor."
Yeah. Be the handshake. I
Really?
think that's not a very professional question
I
for
think
them
it's
to
an
have asked.
outrageous question.
I think it
but I mean,
reflects
yeah.
much worse on them. No, exactly.
Yeah, so you're a producer,
Yeah,
but actually,
you say, "I'm an actor."
do you also run a shop?
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm an actor. Go home.
You're an actor. You're in
Yeah.
an industry creative thing. You just say, "No, I'm
Yep.
full-on actor, full-time," because that also makes it sound like you're successful and you're busy and you're in demand, and those are all things you want. So no, just go, "Oh, an actor." Really, that's what I am. That's what I do. That's why I'm here.
Yep.
How often, so say you send the letters you were saying earlier, "Dear so-and-so, please consider me for this role on whatever," and you don't hear from them, how often should you send
Right,
something else
okay.
again?
Okay, the question was, when you're writing to casting directors and things and you've sent them information, how often should you keep in touch with them? A good rule of thumb is only contact people when you have a reason to, when you have something to tell them. And if it's somebody that you have a relationship with, so maybe they've seen you for lots of things like having new headshots or changing agents, those are all things worth telling them. If it's somebody you've never met, they're probably not that interested in whether you've got new headshots, but they would be interested in the fact that you're currently in this particular film, which is on at the moment, which they can see. So if it's somebody you've never met, I would only contact them if you have something new to tell them, and that should be based on what you're doing, on work. If it's somebody you've already got a relationship with, in order to maintain that relationship, I think you need to keep them up to date with any professional changes in your career. So I've just got the lead in this, I've got a new reel, have a look at this, I've changed my agent, because that's you cementing that relationship that's already there.
Okay. We have got about 10 more minutes, so what we're going to do is just nip back to face-to-face and the elevator pitch.
Oh, yes.
And then we'll take a couple of final questions, then we will have to wrap it up. But we'll be around for a little bit afterwards if you want to grab us later on. So the elevator pitch is almost where we came in when we were talking at the beginning about identify the three things, your three headlines, your uniqueness, what is it you want this person to go away knowing about you. So that's it. So you've got, it is actually, if Twitter is good for one thing, well, it's good for lots of things, but it's very good for discipline of brevity. That's what it is. So that's really doing that in 140 characters or less. Think of it in that sense, about talking to yourself. Now, it's dead easy if you're trying to talk about a project, because you're talking about something else and you probably know it inside out and upside down, but talking about yourself is that little bit more challenging, because it just makes you a bit more vulnerable, doesn't it? Makes you a bit more open, you have to sort of put yourself across. But that's what you're doing. You're doing your sort of your headlines in a condensed way, but not condensed. It sounds like you're doing it because you've got to breathe really quickly and get to the end of the sentence. Not like that. But
the other thing is, it's talking about you as a small business. If you were starting a small business, you would have written a business plan and you would have an elevator pitch for that business. You never thought of that when you started doing this acting lark. And now's the time to think of it. And you may find that it's easier, if you've come with somebody today, you will probably find it very easy to tell your friend what their headlines are, because you see them. Sometimes we don't see that in ourselves, and we don't see the things that actually, what are the most important things? And part of that in this industry is the things about how we look. What are those? That can be one of your headlines. It could be, yeah, you know, you look like this, you've got a funny face, your ears stick out. It's a good thing. It's none of these things are negatives, because they're all about your uniqueness. And they're the things that make you interesting as an actor compared to the next person.
And they can change. I mean, in my head, I still think of myself as a rock chick from, like, you know,
You're not.
when I was 22. I know, I'm not. I know. That's what I said, in my head. So, you know, in my 20s, I'd have been doing that. And that really was just looked quite sad at this age, at this point. So you have to mutate a little bit. So it always stays honest and real about, you know, who you are and what you're doing.
But if you struggle doing your own elevator pitch,
practice it, try it out,
ask
have a
other
conversation.
people.
Yeah.
What would be the three things about me that you would say? And me
And
as
if
a
they
performer.
say intense, creepy and a bit frightening,
Yeah.
try something else. Or just go for horror movies, you know, use it. But, yeah, but it is true. It's much easier if you can work that out with a friend or someone preferably who's also, you know, in the same business and has that sort of way of
Two
looking at the world.
really important things just before we wrap up. We've talked about kind of practical things that you can do to network, to all about increasing your opportunities. There are two really important things. One is remembering why you ever did this. Yeah. Remembering that you're in the most fantastic industry there is. We're not dental hygienists, we're not down a mine. We have the luxury of this amazing, amazing industry. And try and keep hold of that. Try and keep hold of why you ever did this, and keep that enthusiasm, that energy, that optimism about this great industry. And the other thing, you can network all you like, you can have a brilliant CV. The most important thing is it's nice to be nice. And nobody works with the arseholes. Nobody wants to work with them. So the most important thing is if you're nice, people will like working with you. So don't ever Don't bitch about people, smile and just be nice about things. You don't have to be syrupy, but just be nice, and then everyone's happy, and it's a much easier world, and everyone works more. And the people that work aren't the most talented.
Well, we said that. I mean, it is about, you know, being the person you'd like to work with. You know, who do you like to be around?
I think you look like a great room of people to work with.
Yeah.
I'd work with you.
I've enjoyed, you know, this afternoon with you, so that's fine. Is there any more, like, one more burning question?
Yep, there's one
Oh
at the
gosh,
back.
that went up like faster than the fastest thing. Go, right.
In the face-to-face networking, when you're talking about your three like elevator
Yeah.
pitch things,
Yeah.
is it exclusively physical? Is there ever any?
No, your elevator pitch can be. Sorry, the question was the three headlines for your elevator pitch. Does that have to be physical things? Not at all. It could be, I have the most amazing ability to speak Shakespeare, or I have my narration's amazing, or it can be your skill, your acting skills. It can be anything about you as a performer. It doesn't just have to be physically. It may be that people go, you're brilliant at comedy. That's just the best thing about you. In a rehearsal room, you will always find the laugh. And, you know, it can be anything. Doesn't have to be physical.
No, not at all. Anything else?
Yep,
Okay.
there's one there.
One at the back and then you, and then we're done. Okay.
At non-industry events, if you have to meet an industry person,
Okay.
that's what you do. Sometimes I can see a wall go up, and the person's afraid I'm going to hit them up for a job. But I am very well-rounded. I can talk about almost anything.
Okay. So the question is that if you're at a non-industry event and yet there's an industry person there, they sometimes put up a bit of a panic reaction when they find out that you're also in the industry because they think you're just instantly going to say, give me a job, give us a job. Well, don't. Yeah.
For my information, I'm happy to
Yeah.
share it.
Yeah.
But
No, it is. Some people, I mean, you know, I work for a trade union. If you work for a trade union, you get very used to introducing yourself and having one of two reactions, hello or ah, you know, one or the other. And you just sort of work with what's in front of you. And you can reassure them. You can say, no, it's okay, we're not, you know, I'm not here for that. And if it's a non-industry event, you're obviously not here for that. So the question is, so, this isn't an industry event, so why are you here? And move them into another area and then just be that sort of normal person. You know, or I'm here because I support the cause, or whatever it is, whatever the event is that you're there for. Just move them into a safer harbour. You can bring them back round again, but get them into a safe place to start with, I would think. There was one more.
Yeah.
Right, there really is the last one, sorry.
So I know that networking is case by case, and you're kind of navigating these different social situations. I'm wondering when I've had a couple instances where I've met someone who I wanted to be in touch with, and there was a miscommunication or something.
Okay.
Like they would ask me to movies or like to send them a cute pic, and I'll be like, damn, what do you do? Like, do you have any advice on that, or you just kind of figure it out?
The question was responding to slightly, when you've been in touch with people and it's come back and been slightly inappropriate, not quite as work or professional focused as you might like. With that sort of thing, you have to be the professional, which is, they clearly don't want to communicate on a professional level, in which case it's of not much use to you, unless you want to go out with them or whatever.
So there's no opportunity for you to kind of like take away the awkward moment instead of saying, oh, like there was a misunderstanding, which would make them feel awkward. There's no salvaging.
It sort of depends kind of the level of inappropriate. I think if somebody asks you to go to a movie because you've been in touch, that, you know, that might be an easy mistake to make, and you would just need to respond and say, oh, look, I'm terribly sorry, I'm not interested, but thanks, it's really kind anyway, or whatever. But that's just a thing about kind of, you know, being polite and diplomatic. But you have to be the kind of professional one in it.
You have to take the control of that, really. Yeah. Right, well, I think we really are out. So
Yep.
thank you very much for coming. Thank you.